If someone tells you that you need 5,000 euros for your first motorcycle, they're lying. Today I'm showing you 10 road-legal 125 cubic centimeters bikes ready to ride, and the most expensive one costs less than 3,000 euros. Yeah, less than 3,000. And number 1, a brand that's been in Spain for 20 years and nobody looks at, costs nearly 1,000 euros less than what you'd pay just in insurance and registration alone on a full-size bike. These are real prices, official figures, straight from the manufacturer's websites. No gimmicks. We know insurance, maintenance, and depreciation matter too, and that's why later on I break down the real 5-year total cost of ownership. But when it comes to breaking into the motorcycle world, that initial price is the barrier you've got to smash through. And these 10 bikes shatter it. So get comfortable, guys, because we're starting now. Number 10. Honda CB125F, priced at 2,980 euros. We're starting with the only Japanese bike on the entire list, and that's no accident. It's also the most expensive of the 10. Honda charges a premium for its name, and they know it. On paper, the CB125F doesn't impress. A single-cylinder, air cooling, no ABS as standard on most configurations, a design that hasn't changed much in years. But here's the catch, and I want you to understand this clearly. People don't buy a Honda 125 for power or technology. They buy it because they know that 8 years from now, when they want to sell it, somebody's going to buy it without hesitation. That's the real price of a Honda, not what you pay, but what you get back. Still, nearly $3,000 for a bike this basic, in 2026, with Chinese competition nipping at its heels, that's starting to sound like a joke. Let's move on. Number 9. QJ Motor SRK 125, priced at 2,999 euros. This is where things get interesting. QJ Motor, the same parent company behind Benelli, brings a sporty naked bike to market for practically the same money as the Honda, but with way more going for it. We're talking about a much more aggressive design, something built to look like it punches above its weight. And beginners eat that up because they don't want people thinking they're riding a kid's bike. The engine is still a single-cylinder 125, with just enough punch for city riding and back roads. You're not taking this on the highway wide open, but that's not what you bought a 125 for anyway. Here's what QJ Motor is actually doing. Exactly what Chinese brands have been pulling off for the last 3 years across every segment. They take the price of the most boring option on the market and hand you twice the style for the same money. Number 8. The Oracle SK01, priced at 2,890 euros. Oracle is one of those brands nobody brings up in bar conversations, but they've been pumping out solid motorcycles at prices that make absolutely no sense compared to what the established names charge. The SK01 is a straightforward naked bike. No pretense, but well put together. Good finish, comfortable geometry for beginners, and that price point that sneaks in just under 2,900 euros. If your buying criteria is, I want a bike that won't let me down, that won't throw curveballs at me, and that won't bankrupt me, the SK01 delivers without drawing attention to itself. It's not the star player on this list, but it's the kind of bike people buy when they've actually done their homework. The ones who spent weeks cross-referencing spec sheets before making a decision. And here's one detail almost nobody mentions. Because Orcal's got lower sales volume than the giant Chinese brands, finding spare parts might take a few extra days to show up. It's not a deal breaker, but if your bike is your only way to get around every day, that's something worth thinking about before you sign on the dotted line. The Vogue 125R takes 7th place with a retail price of 2,900 euros. Vogue is the premium brand of Chinese giant Lansing, the same manufacturer that builds engines for BMW across several of its mid-range models. Once you put it that way, people start looking at these bikes differently. The Vogue 125R comes with standard ABS, something not every brand in this price range dares to include, and with a build quality that many compare directly to bikes costing 500 or 600 euros more. Vogue has been playing the European quality Chinese price card for a while now, and it really shows on the 125R. If I had to recommend this bike to someone who just got their A1 license, it would probably be one of the top 3 picks on this entire list. Keep an eye on this brand because it's going to keep climbing the ranks in 2027. Position number 6, Cyclone Battle 125, coming in at a price of €2,790. Cyclone is one of those brands that sounds like it's straight out of a motorcycle video game, but it's real, and it really sells in the European market. The new Battle 125 goes for a much more aggressive design with a futuristic touch, and a price that puts it right in the middle of the pack. It's a bike built for young riders and new riders who want something different from the typical generic naked bike you see on every corner. The engine does just enough, braking is combined but without ABS, and maintenance is as simple as any other 125 on this list. What someone buying this bike is really paying for isn't performance, it's personality. And in a market saturated with bikes that all look like clones of each other, that counts for something. Number 5, the Leonard Pulse 125, priced at €2,699. Leonard is a brand that's been steadily gaining ground among riders who want retro style without paying retro prices. The Pulse 125 doesn't try to be the most powerful or the most advanced. It tries to be the best-looking bike under €2,700, and for the most part, it pulls that off. Round headlight, clean lines, that styling that echoes the classic naked bikes from 20 years ago, but with the reliability and low maintenance of a modern machine. It's the kind of bike that riders on forums describe as, don't buy it thinking about reselling it in 5 years, buy it because you actually love it. And honestly, at this price point, that's a perfectly valid reason. Hey everyone, welcome to another video for the channel. Number 4, the Bajaj Pulsar NS 125. Landing in this spot at a price of €2,699. Bajaj is a giant that sells millions of bikes a year in India, and it's come to Europe with the Pulsar NS 125 to prove you can mass-produce without sacrificing design. Tied in price with the Leonard, the Pulsar goes with a completely different philosophy. Sharp lines, a bulky tank, styling that leans much closer to a sport bike than a classic naked. It's one of the most recognizable bikes on this entire list, just from its design alone, and on social media and out on the street, that matters more than people admit. The engine is still a single cylinder with modest output, like every bike on this list, but here what you're buying is image, and the Pulsar NS 125 has plenty of it for under €2,700. On top of that, Bajaj has a scale of production behind it that very few brands on this top 10 can match, which in practice translates into an increasingly solid parts network across Europe, something that's not so common among the smaller brands on this list. Number 3, the Benelli BN 125, priced at €2,490. Now we're getting serious. Benelli, an Italian brand with over a century of history, today owned by the same Chinese group as QJ Motor, is offering the BN 125 for under €2,500. Think about that for a second. A brand with nearly 115 years of history, with racing pedigree, selling a fully street-legal naked bike with a gearbox, ready to ride, for less than what a lot of people spend on a high-end phone. The BN 125 isn't the most powerful or the most sophisticated bike on this list, but it carries a name on the tank that still commands respect in the motorcycle world. For someone who wants to get into riding with a brand name that actually means something, without paying the premium the Japanese brands charge, this is probably the smartest choice on the entire top 10. Number 2, the QJ Motor TRX 125, with a selling price of €2,299. We're getting close to the end now, and the prices start to get dizzying. The QJ TRX 125 comes in under €2,300 with combined braking, CBS, a clean trail-naked design, and the full backing of a brand that builds serious machines up to 800 cubic centimeters with 4 cylinders. And that's the key point. QJ isn't some fly-by-night brand slapping together cheap bikes with no real standards. It's a manufacturer that competes in much bigger segments and applies that same level of engineering, scaled down, to its entry-level lineup. For under €2,300, you're getting a bike designed by people who genuinely know how to build motorcycles, not some generic product churned out just to check a box. And even so, it's still not the cheapest one. There's one more to go. Number 1, the Kiwi RKS 125. Crowned the cheapest bike in this category at a price of €2,190, with a 5-year extended warranty included. And here it is, the cheapest bike in all of Europe in the geared 125 cubic centimeters segment, fully street legal, ready to ride. The Kiwi RKS 125 for 2,190 euros. Read that again if you need to. 2,190 euros. And it doesn't come alone. Kiwi throws in 5 years of extended warranty at no extra cost, something not even the priciest Japanese brands on this top 10 dare to offer. Kiwi has been selling bikes in Spain for over 20 years. It's the Chinese brand that registers the most geared 125 cubic centimeter bikes in our country every year. And almost nobody talks about it on social media because it doesn't have the glamour of a Honda or a Yamaha. But here are the numbers, cold and objective. Combined braking, full LED lighting, a chassis specifically built for beginners, and a price that makes every other option on this list, including the QJ TRX we just covered, look almost expensive by comparison. If your only criteria for picking your first bike is spend as little as possible without buying junk, the search ends here. There's nothing cheaper than this on the entire continent, and there probably won't be for a long time. There you have it, guys. 10 bikes, 10 different brands, and not a single one breaks 3,000 euros. 10 years ago, this list would have been unthinkable, but today it's the reality of the market across Europe in the 125 cubic centimeters category. And the reason is simple. Chinese and Indian competition has forced the whole industry to either drop prices or justify why their bike costs 3 times as much without offering 3 times the bike. Now it's your turn. Would you go for the cheapest one at 2,190 euros? Or would you rather pay a bit more for the Honda name? Let me know in the comments. This topic always sparks a good debate. If this video helped you decide on your first bike, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Ride safe, and I'll see you in the next one.